How are you?
Good, good. So, as everybody that knows me knows, I'm so well prepared. I thank you for coming, and hopefully you guys have tried the products, the product, and got an introduction on. We've changed the name of our Stage 2 engineering to the Obvious Factory.
The obvious factor.
Because every time we invent stuff, then we look backwards and go, oh my God, that was so obvious. So I said, forget it, we're just going to change the name. And the thing is, we chase the obvious. We always find out after we've done it as to why it was obvious. For example, even this drink. So we got to it some by accident, some convoluted approach to it. And then when we got it and tried it, and it really was, it was unbelievably good for me anyway, we realized that all we did was go back to what Mother Nature gave us as water. And then of course you turn around and go, oh my God, that's obvious, right? So what we found out, and I've told this a few times, is that human beings grew up on water that, the oceans, water evaporated, went to clouds, clouds went over land, dumped the water, and then flowed across rocks and in the river and streams, and we drank it, right? Today, of course, it was all clean water and clean rocks, and clean ground. Today, what we have is pollution everywhere, right? There isn't any place where it can rain. And I tell people this all the time. Do you know, I don't have to prove that the rain, that the junk in the atmosphere goes into the water. Everybody knows it instinctually, because every time it rains, somebody goes, wow, the air smells fresh. Well, where do you think the junk went? The stuff that wasn't. It went in the water. That's the only thing that changed. Water took it and took it down there. Then worse on top of that is the water, the ground is even dirtier. So we've been throwing chemicals in there a lot of times. Most people don't know, but the EPA that regulates water, first of all, their first mandate is to make it so that they don't shut down your water, right? Which means let's have really loose regulation, because the other side is if we have tight regulation, we got to shut you down. And you can't say, I'm sorry, Chicago, you're not getting any water. You can't do that. So they go, okay, if we make it loose, it's fine. And then on top of that, they've got over 100 chemicals that they have on a list that they're supposed to look at. They haven't looked at any of them. And that list keeps growing, and you're thinking, okay, if you look at this, you go, I'm not getting clean water anywhere. And bottles, sure, you have bottled water, and then you have plastic, residual stuff in there, and the water's still not that clean, because what they use is, half the time they found out it's just tap water.
Yeah.
And because it's EPA, blah, 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 I go, okay, and it's okay. So you never know what you're getting. On top of that, the old water, the original water, had, because it went over rocks, had minerals. That's what we grew up on. All of a sudden, we stripped them out in bottled water, and we have no minerals. Without minerals, you cannot have hydration. That's everywhere. Even today's scientists know that much. May not know much, but they know that much. That you need minerals and you need water. The third thing you need is to be, even if you have great food out here, unless you eat it, unless it's delivered to the right place, it's useless. Same thing, if you have minerals and water, but it's not delivered to the right place. For example, I'll give you another example. When someone gets cancer and they give them chemo, chemicals, they just throw the kitchen sink into the chemicals. And so the hair goes away, you feel miserable, your resistance is horrible. Only because the amount of stuff they give you, very little of it finds its way to where your cancer is. But the only way to do it is just to dump it in your body and hope some of it gets to the right place. So getting it to the right place is really critical. It's like food. I mean, if you put it in your ear, it's not going to help. It's got to go in the right place. Right? So, same thing here. So, there's minerals, really clean water, which is, we invented that because, well, you saw the thing, for the bottom third of the world, right? Actually, not just the bottom third of the world. We might even say California, and that's not on purpose. I have no intention. So, I have to insult the Californians here, and then, you know, a good chunk of Texas has gone back to the desert. That's just in the United States. And then we have countries, entire countries and large cities that are 1 year away from no water. I mean, we got Indonesia and China and India, 80% of their water is bad. Indonesia has pulled out all of the fresh water now. They're pulling in ocean water. So now the water's brackish, is not usable. And they got 300 plus million people. Sao Paulo, you know, in Brazil, largest city, one year away from shutting down. And if it does shut down, it puts the world in recession, one city. So the problem with water is really pretty large. And then health-wise, dehydration is the foundational problem. There's one guy, a friend of mine, who's one of the top guys in the world in cancer, his name is Sir David Lane, and we were talking about this. He says, Manoj, it's not about treating disease, it's about treating wellness. You treat wellness, you don't have disease.
Correct. Amen. That's right.
So how do you treat wellness? What's the foundation of health?
Water.
Water. Here's 60-70% water. You're going to ignore that? And then do what? Take vitamin pills? You know, I'm not saying vitamin pills are bad, but really, it's like having a really great TV, you know, with all the gizmos and everything, but there's no plug. Good luck. So, what we need to do is treat the foundational stuff. Once you do that, and I'm not much of a theory guy, I always laugh at these guys with their little neural pathways and, you know, all the buzz stuff that is, you know, just BS, really. You know, even the friend of mine I was talking about yesterday, right, one of the most famous guys, and I was going to meet him, and this was in Singapore, and he was like the head of the research, and you know, he's Sir David Lane, you know, Oxford, Cambridge. So I'm going, oh my God, why'd you guys set me up at a meeting with some pompous ass? And then he's coming into the meeting, and he's thinking, oh, God, I gotta waste time with some pompous billionaire. Yeah. So we were kind of like common in there. So we're both looking at it like, shit, this is a waste of time, right? And so I tend to insult everybody in the world, especially if I meet the high and mighty. I always, heads of state I met, you know, and it's just a bad habit. And so I say, you know, the problem with scientists is they're really good at going down the road, but almost always they're on the wrong road. And he looks at me, and he starts laughing. He says, absolutely right. And then we became friends after that. It's amazing what happens when you insult people. If you're straight about it, and it's not mean, it's just straight. You know. So then we start getting to talking, and I've known him for years now. So he said, treat wellness. In other words, if you treat the foundational stuff, the garbage doesn't happen.
Correct.
Right? And then the interesting part is, it's not theory. As a lot of you know that have taken the water, I mean, within a day, some within a week, some within 2 weeks maximum, you see a difference. And more issues you have, the quicker you see it. Because you can't fix what you don't have, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I can't say, well, I didn't fix my cancer. I'm sorry, sir, you didn't have cancer. So, can't fix what you don't have. I mean, people that have had 6 different problems, all of a sudden they're getting fixed because they have those problems.
Yeah.
Now, high blood pressure, I mean, that's like more than half the country. Those who are older, we gotta go more,
Yeah.
you know? So, you know, we're kind of leaky buckets in here. That does a lot. Those with cramps, nighttime, restless leg syndrome, any of those things. And you know, skin, hair, all of those things are affected fairly quickly. And I mean, is it pretty obvious, right? I mean, of course they're affected. It's your cells are thirsty, and you finally fed them. So how's it not going to have an effect? To me, that's the real science. Does it do anything for me, or are you just going to give me an essay? You know, I mean, I tell people all the time when they hire me here, I said, look, if you give me long memos will justify your failure. That's what long memos are about. It only takes a couple of lines to say, I got it done. Right? So, I got it done. I don't want long explanations. Whenever there's a long explanation, you know how you tell a really good book? That's kind of a how-to book? How thin it is.
Yeah.
Fat books means you have nothing to say. And if you can find one sentence of any value, good luck. So, the greatest writer in the business of the world, most of his books were like skinny little things like this. His name was Peter Drucker back in the 60s. Look guys, my opinion is, you all sell, you all do a great job because you're here. You're all leaders in this industry. If you can't sell this, I don't know. So, you know, no pressure. So that's the product. And then the business side of it, people ask me these questions, I'm going to answer some of them. Some of them are like, oh, people, you know, companies blow up and then they disintegrate. Well, they're all run by a bunch of rookies. You know, they haven't done business before, they haven't run a business before, they don't know the basics. They're all a bunch of salespeople. You know, it's like hiring plumbers to do electrical work. Yeah. Good luck with your house, you know. So sales is its own skill set. It's not the same as running a business. Yeah. And what happens is they're really good at sales, and everybody that's really good at something, they think they're smart at everything. Yeah. You should talk to a doctor sometime. One time I said to a doctor, for a business guy, you're a really good doctor. Yeah. So, we are not rookies. I mean, I've done this a bunch of times. I've over 15 companies. We keep liquidity, so one thing, we don't run out of money. Second is we set up for the long haul. For example, some of the issues in this is can availability, material availability. You know, because it's a can, it's not a pill. A pill is easy because, you know, you can crank out millions of them and no problem. But logistics, in terms of making sure the materials are here. So I always have months of material. And then a few other things is we're pretty straight around here. If people do good and they're honest and they work with us, they're nice people, we're here for. I mean, you know, we were going to have a Hotel California party at the company. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. So it's good guys stay here a long time. I've got people for forever, right? However, I don't care how good you perform. If you play with us, you're out. I don't care how much money you make. Doesn't matter to me. I've done this for a long time, and I found out that you get rid of the schmucks, and it always comes up better. Right? And they take up most of your head and your time. You know, aggravation always takes up 80% of your head, and it contributes 2% in the end. If you get rid of it, all of a sudden you find, oh, I got 3 better people. Oh my God, how did that happen? Not an accident. This is just basic business. Is you get rid of prima donnas, you get rid of people that are going to be playing with you. They need to be clearly. I mean, I'm not talking about mistakes. We do it internally. The more stuff you do, the more mistakes you'll make. Okay? But cheating, lying, stealing, no. Not even once. That's our approach to business. I don't prepare anything because what I know, I'll tell you. And it's really hard for me to lie because I won't remember. I'm old. So I won't remember what I lied about. So that'd be a big problem. And 100% of what I make at this point goes to nonprofit stuff. Stuff to serve the bottom third. No, it's not. It's not. Please don't. It's not because I'm such a nice guy, which I'm not. What I do is, what else am I going to do? I mean, I don't have any hobbies. People say you're so dull. My wife especially tells me that. I've no interest. I play tennis, and my most expensive hobby is what you already saw, which is serving humanity. Other than that, I don't really have much of a life. I don't want one. People say you don't have any friends. I don't want friends. So I have a pretty simple life. It doesn't cost that much. So what am I going to do with everything? So we do something great. That is so enjoyable. I do it because there's no choice. And we were laughing about it a while ago. That people always say, well, we're going to run out of water. We have climate change, and they will fix it. I'm sorry, who's they? Who? We're going to come up with they. And if you're relying on the government, wow. You need to, even a psychiatrist won't help you. It's beyond, So, the government you can rely on to slow things down, to screw things up, but to actually get something done. I've been to Washington, scared the hell out of me. I was in the White House, I'm like, these guys are running the country? Are you kidding me? I ran out of there. So somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
And so I said, all right, fine. Who's somebody? Who's they? Maybe it's us. Yeah. So somebody's actually got to do the work. So that's what we're doing. And we have more stuff coming. I mean, we have an incredible technology coming up, which is an energy, which will actually have zero emission, really simple, really obvious after the fact. And then you can be off grid. In fact, most people will, 20 years from now, will be off grid. Because you don't need it. You produce it right there. The sun is everywhere, and it gives you incredible amounts of energy, right? How do you harness it? That's the big thing. And even bigger, not even harness it. How do you store it?
Yeah.
So you use it at the right time, because there's no sun at night.
Right.
So we've actually solved it. Which is the biggest project in the world. So we're at this point in optimizing and packaging. In other words, making sure it's efficient. But even if it's not, one of our guys, optics guys, I said, well, I don't know how efficient it is. He started laughing at me. I said, what are you laughing at me for? She says, really? Efficient? How much sun is there? You're gonna waste some? Seriously? So, I mean, there's an infinite amount of energy coming down, so efficiency is not the issue. So anyway, we're doing that in water, and then, we have something for Alzheimer's that has, in some cases, reverse Alzheimer's. So we're taking some large projects on that, again, simple solutions to stuff that nobody else will do. And that's what we do, and we do it quietly. We live in the Midwest. Basically, I like work. I don't want to be known. I have no ambitions to be Elon Musk. I mean, I'd rather be, because I don't need to be seated at the right table at the restaurant. I don't go out. So, so none of that is necessary. So we just want to work. I like work. What's wrong with liking work? Old-fashioned, right? People say, on vacation. I said, look, if you love work, you're on vacation all the time. that's what we do, and we don't excuse and say, oh, you work too much. Which century, I mean, only in this century has somebody said, you work too hard. Every other century was like, no, this is what we do, we work hard. And the people who worked hard were always stronger up here than those who moved up. We got more psychiatrists now than they had. It's not helping. So anyway, I'm getting off topic. But, so I'm going to probably open it up to questions soon. John, did I not? Is there any other issue I need to get?
Bank shot? Do you want
Oh yeah, okay. So, hydration is one of those things which even the FDA carves it out and says you can say hydration, and you don't really have to justify that hydration is good. Right? Now, we still can't say that you treat some disease. Okay. However, there is everywhere in the literature that what dehydration does. Dehydration affects high blood pressure, cramps, you name it. You can do your own research, find out all what dehydration does. Right? Now, what we do, which we can prove, is we fix dehydration. So what I'm calling it is a bank shot. A bank shot. Like a basketball. It's not straight into the basket. It's off the. So what we do is say, we don't treat the disease. We treat the cause of the disease. We treat dehydration. That we do. So if dehydration, all of this stuff, all we're going to say is we treat dehydration, right? If it fixes things, well, dehydrate. If you hydrate, if dehydration is the cause of it, then it'll fix things. Which actually makes this, the network marketing perfect approach for it, is because this will be your personal experience that you can relate to people, right? That you're allowed to do.
Sure.
You can't lie. You shouldn't lie. But if it's your personal experience and you say it, there's nobody who can say, wow, you shouldn't have said that. There was somebody sued for telling the truth, which, government rules. And I gotta admit, I really admire her. I've admired very few people, but it was this lady who owned Palm Wonderful. Palm, the drink, pomegranate. It was on the literature that it helped in cancer, it helped in this and this and that. So she said it. And they said, you can't say that, because you haven't gone through the FDA routine. Yeah. And she sued them saying, why can't I tell the truth? Right? It's in the literature, it's proven, why can't I tell the truth? And the amazing part is she won. I was like, wow, that's going up against City Hall, the government, and everybody, right? And winning. So apparently, there is a loophole, which is you can tell the truth. What an incredible loophole! I mean, what's a shame is it has to be called a loophole. Telling the truth. So you are able to tell the truth. Now, we don't claim any of this stuff, but anybody's personal experience. And the good part is this isn't something where you yourselves are not trying. I mean, good God, it's water. If you just sell, to me, it's a con. If you just sell stuff, don't use it. No, that means I'm probably calling most of you con, but because I'm sure you sold stuff that you haven't tried or your family doesn't use. I don't. If my family won't use it, I don't use it. I don't sell it. That's it. So I have to believe in it. I have to believe we're honest. And that's the only time we'll go sell something. So this one is really large. How big can it be? Think about it. There's no end to it. Every customer that drinks it for a whole year makes you, I don't know, each customer is hundreds of dollars. And it's not like, okay, let's go on to the next diet. No, this is forever. Network marketing has been 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, and there's been so much BS in there that, let's have another protein drink, Jesus. business. A business is when you make money from residual income. That is a business. If you have to work by the hour then it's a profession. It's not a business, right? Doctors, no matter how much they get paid, it's still by the hour. So residual is the only way, and it's to get a customer and keep them. That's why the product is very important. Is the most important. Right? You can fool them and get somebody to try something and buy it, but everybody does that. You know, whether it's in retail or MLM or whatever, is they say, here's a great product, and it's not. And so they keep, I got 5,000 people, and then now, how many are left? 200. Oh, well, that's, kind of shows you it's kind of like a con game. Whereas what we're looking at is, this isn't a get rich quick, but it is a get rich slowly. Because you build it. If you build it and it takes time and effort, it stays. If you have this get quick, it's quick down also. That's why you deep in fundamentals and you go with products that make sense and that are good for people. That's what we're here for. So there's a bank shop that, and your own experiences or the experiences of people your family. I mean, there's stuff there, I don't even know how it works. I mean, I get to tell you some of the stuff, the stories I get, because it's water. Does it affect everything? Yeah, it could. I mean, brain function? Yeah. There's some people who came up with it, that their son was in big trouble and, all kinds of problems. All of a sudden he's fine. Just slightest imbalance and you're off. So if you have, I was saying that yesterday, I said, what does a human being need? Whatever you're short of. So our cells have been thirsty because we're supposed to be hydrated at the cell level, and it's not. When they get that stuff, all of a sudden things change. So that's what we're doing. And the other part is, people will tell you, which I might as well tell you now, is our cells are not completely without hydration. They have minor amounts. And that comes from food. Okay? But even our food is seriously depleted of minerals because we use artificial fertilizers. Right? So they can't pick up the minerals from the soil because they're stuck with artificial fertilizers. So everything, in the last 50, 100 years has turned artificial or contaminated. Contamination is an interesting thing. What is a poison? People say, okay, this is poison, right? It could be that it's but one drop, right? You don't have to take, 2 ounces of cyanide to die. So anything that's contaminated, by definition, is poison. Even though 99.9% is great, it's the 0.1% that kills you. That's why we call the whole thing poison. So our air is poison, our water is poison. What do you think was going to happen? So that's what you go out there for yourselves and for families, and this will be one of the greatest things in healthcare ever. No, it's not some neural pathways here, but it's not going to be what do they say? If you can't razzle them with dazzle, baffle them with bullshit.
There you go.
So these guys with the fancy words, that's great. But what do you got? If it doesn't help me, I'm out. I told people, I look for everything, I try everything on myself. So, in fact, for several years, I used to have one person that traveled the world looking for crazy stuff. And I tried it. Not all of it worked well. Anyway, anything else? Okay, questions? Yes?
You mentioned Alzheimer's.
Huh?
You mentioned Alzheimer's. I'm not
Alzheimer's.
Tell me about it.
Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's, oh, okay. We came up with this device that increases blood flow. Okay. And one of the things that Alzheimer's is, this is, again, Sir David Lane, I'm talking to him about it, and he goes, I said, look, this is going to deliver oxygen nutrients, because what happens is this. Everybody has a heart. It's young. Heart is just a pump. So it pumps well. Pump gets old. What do you think was going to happen? It doesn't pump as well. It's old. So what happens? The artery starts shrinking. It delivers less stuff. Part of that is aging. That's what happens. You call it aging because the symptoms of that are you don't have enough. Three things that happen. Two of them I realized was one was, what is the blood used for? To deliver nutrients and oxygen. Okay. Without those, if you have it depleted, if those two are depleted, you're going to feel it. Something's going to happen and it's going to end up as a disease. So I talked to him, and I talked to David about it, and he says, no, there's one other big thing. And he says, he told me, he says, no, the other part that the blood flow does is hauls away trash. Right? And if you think about it, just common sense, not fancy language. If you leave trash, what do you think was going to happen? Up here.
Trash.
You know? So those are the three things. So we said, all right, this is like plugging in your TV. I mean, it's that obvious. So we said, okay, let's see if it works in this. So there was a study done, and actually one of the people, they reversed Alzheimer's, which has never happened in the history of the disease. So we went to the FDA. The FDA talked. It's called an investigational study, which is only like 3 people. And one of them was like gone, right? And she came back and became totally functional, which was, the FDA said, we've never seen anything. So we had to fire her over there, you know, and somebody else did it. University of Kansas did the study, so it wasn't us. And then, so we said, all right, let's apply to the FDA. So they gave us a breakthrough status on it, and then we did clinical trials. And we would be passed already. However, Alzheimer's is fairly political. And so they said, look, can you do another relatively minor study? So we should be done by next year, but you know, politics is part of it. Certain diseases are very political, others are not. I mean, if I have toenail fungus, nobody cares. You start dealing with stuff that's got real money attached, all of a sudden, there's political pressure. So, but it either, I mean, in some cases reverses it, stops it. I mean, the results have been fabulous. And it's really blood flow to the brain. Mm-hmm. You know, it's, and the science guys will go, well, no, it's amyloids and this and that. Amyloids are like if you have a plant and leaves turn yellow, mm-hmm. and then what a science guy will do is, you know, what is the yellow? Which part of yellow? What's the chemical makeup of the yellow? Or you could water the damn plant, and it'll turn green. Right? So simple is very difficult for science guys. So all we're doing is these first water the plant. That's what this is. Basically, is blood flow to brain, and what the results are something different. They want to deal with injecting something in the result. What we're dealing with is something that causes the result to be, you know, the bad result to go away. So that's going to be pretty big. Now it's a device, so you do this an hour a day for 7 weeks, and after that, once a week. It's not a pill, and I wish it was a pill, it would be a lot easier. But it's a device that but it's pretty pleasant. I mean, I use it 3 times a week, and I fall asleep. You know, I mean, it's my deepest sleep that I get. So, you know, it's fundamentally one of the big things. I mean, hydration is one, blood flow is the other fundamental.
What's the name of that device?
Sorry, 1 second. If we could, questions? Let's go through the mic so everyone can hear.
Okay, what's the name of the device? It's called Cerezen right now. That's our brand name, CEREZEN. But I don't want to deal with that because we're not selling that right now.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When are you going to start having information in Spanish for our Spanish-speaking?
Okay, this is about my pay grade.
Yeah.
He's going to take care of that.
Yeah.
One more after that.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, when you said living off the grid, my heart skipped a beat because my husband and I are RVers. We would love to live off the grid. When is that product going to be coming out?
There's good and bad of it in that
Oh,
regard.
yeah.
Off the grid would be if you had a house off the grid,
But yeah.
because this thing weighs like 3,000 pounds.
Okay.
So it's like an outside air conditioner
Okay.
size, and it's just there. It takes energy and it gives you energy, and then that's it. You know, so there's three parts of it, of energy. I'm not going to deal with this too much, but first part is to get the energy from the sun. Second is to store it, and third is to give it to you in a form that you can use. Now, I mean, it's a little more complicated than that. I mean, it's fundamentally simple, but you do have to have things like, I mean they do have it in solar now. There are problems where all of a sudden it's really sunny. Okay, now it's producing more, so you got to control the amount. In our case, you don't have to control it at all; it just goes right in. So we've solved a lot of the problems, and little problems these guys have. And really, my project obviously is not this country so much, although we will sell it in this country and make money from it. But bottom third of the world, most of them don't have electricity pretty much at all. So can you imagine at 6 p.m., you're just sitting in the dark? So that's who's going to really change.
Thank you.
Great. And then regarding Spanish translation, we are optimizing the site, so it will automatically make the translation for us. And then we'll be working on some of the marketing materials to get those translated as well. Great question.
I'm sure we know a lot of other languages too, because fortunately for AI.
Hi there, how are you? Just a question. With my team, we are learning to market this as a functional hydration drink. So I am wondering, will we ever change the labeling and take the word water off if we don't want to say it's water, just because we're not competing at all with the Aquafinas and the Essentias?
I agree with you. Let's see what works. The one thing I've learned about consumer products and marketing messages, we don't know what'll work. Nobody does. Okay, that's the one thing I can tell you. We've done brilliant things that fall on our face, and things that don't make any sense that work. So first, I don't want it to go so far where people say I'm afraid of it because it's not water. There's that side of it. But our real story is, really, this needs to be sold as the original water. Why are we letting fake water, contaminated, poisoned water, define what water is? So if you go the other way, then people feel also much safer. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, it's back to what it was 200 years ago. So we thought about that as well, and we go, no, there's other ways to do it. We can actually call it a medical food. We're actually allowed.
Then one other question relating to last month's event. When are you going to be producing the green tea 5-hour energy that you sampled? Because that's amazing.
Okay, let's start to focus on the product we have as the biggest one, and then we'll get to that one. One of the things, guys, is there's always going to be changes. There's always going to be new. Somebody's going to say, "Oh, I don't like lemon. Can we have raspberry instead?" I don't like this. Can I have carbonation instead? I don't like the label. I don't like this. There's always going to be something. Over time, we will let the market tell us what it is. Because the one thing I've noticed with all sales guys, not just you guys, everyone, whatever you have is wrong. I want something new. I'm sorry you haven't sold one of them yet. But I want something different, right? So go through this all the time. And some of the suggestions are good, but at this point, I think we're in pretty good shape. We have really pretty good design. We have pretty good, the product's great, the design is pretty damn good. We are really, actually, one of our persons is really good at design. So if you look at the natural glow, it's gorgeous, right? Cellular, hydration for sports. You're not going to have too much better design than that. So carving out the areas and then adjust as we go along. Some of the things you're going to run into is, as I remember. so we said, all right, if you're a purist, take the lemon. You know, but if you're like the billion people that drink Coke, you don't have a problem with sucrose. So, I mean, one thing I learned from 5 Hour Energy is people will complain about it, and then in the end, they will drink something that tastes good. If it doesn't taste good, they'll say, oh, I'm glad. And then they won't drink the second one. So I don't care. There's always going to be somebody saying something, you know, we should call them granola heads. You know, because they'd say, well, what's the color? You know, I mean, where did that come from? Oh, go away. You know, we don't care. We're gonna, you know, we're gonna have, you know, 98%, 95% of the market, that's what you go for. You can't satisfy everyone, and so you go, okay, well, you don't like sucrose, have the other one. Well, then why do you have it there? Well, it's not for you. Coke has one, are you complaining to them? You know, so you'll get that. Why is this company evil and it's putting sucrose in? Oh God, you don't know anything about sucrose, first of all. Everybody learns these myths, and they take them as if they're fact. Sucrose is bad. Who said? Well, I heard it in a bar. or like the old 8 to 10 glasses a day of water. There is no study that says you should do that. But every study about hydration says you should do that. Where'd you hear it? I mean, I was telling them yesterday, I said, you didn't know water? What? And you just put it in, oh, what is science now? Because it's in a scientific paper. Did it prove anything? No. But, so, there's always going to be somebody who's got a problem. Move on. Not everybody's going to buy the product. Not everybody is, most people are going to be followers. You know, they'll be at the end. What we're attempting to do at this point, take the 10% off the top. You know how big 10% is? Jesus, you know, every one of you will make millions of dollars. So it's take the 10%, and then the other guys will always be followers. And they'll have objections for nothing. You know, go ahead. In fact, it's what I do is I used to sell as well, so you know, and I always do a walkaway sale, which is I still do it all the time, which is like, maybe it's not for you. You know, maybe you shouldn't have it. And then all of a sudden it's time to sell you. No, wait. Leave that here. So the walkaway sale could be also, and then again, either you waste your time, you can't convince people of something, you know right away, like, this isn't an argument. You want to argue, you know, go somewhere else. You know, either sell it, buy it, don't buy it.